Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you very much. I hope everybody can see that when they talk about the Conservative Party, what Graham represents is what the heart and soul of the Conservative Party is really all about. Hard-working people from hard-working backgrounds giving up their time, becoming members of Parliament to look after their constituents and represent their interests. Graham, you've got a great future ahead of you. Thank you very much. And a number of thanks are due too before I start, because all that Graham talked about, all that we are achieving and what we have to achieve could not be done without the team that I have around you. So may I start, as they sit arrayed in front of us here, by thanking Mark Hoban, David Lord Freud, Esther McVeigh, and Steve Webb, who's a Liberal Democrat. I'm sorry he's not here, but then again, we're working hard on him all the time. And not least, and certainly not last, our PPS is Andrew Sellew, Harriet Baldwin, and of course our whip, Karen Bradley. Thank you so much to the team because they've worked so hard over the last 12 years. Did I say 12 years? Medical's 12 months. It seems like years. Anyway, and also a final thanks to those in the civil service working hard to deliver these reforms, particularly in my private office and our private offices, who I know give up a lot of time. So my thanks to them as well. Conference. In 2010, we inherited an economy that was, to all intents and purposes, bust. Let's be honest about it. And the priority, really, for Chancellor George Osborne was clearly, first and foremost, to cut the deficit, stop the debt spiral, and put right the mess left by a Labour government. And in this, we should all recognise the leadership of the Prime Minister and the determination of the Chancellor for sticking firm to their course when others wavered and called for change. They have displayed real courage in difficult times. That is why the economy, I believe, is turning a corner and we are beginning to see growth again. Something, of course, Labour said would never happen. They said a lot of things would never happen, and I hope the one thing that will never happen, and I believe will never happen, will be a Labour government ever entrusted again with the British economy. But they said it would never happen. In fact, Labour said we needed a plan B. They've learnt nothing, really, have they? They still believe you can spend your way out of a debt crisis. The very policies that they pursued that got us into this mess in the first place, that put people out of work and collapsed their savings. Same old Labour, wrong on the economy. So they oppose all our spending reductions. They want to tax more, borrow more, and spend yet more on welfare. So that's it? That's it? Socialism? No. That's not a plan B. That's just balls. But you can't divorce welfare spending from the economy, for welfare costs more than a quarter of all government expenditure, a staggering thought. And under Labour, welfare bills shot up by a massive 60%. And in 2010 alone, they splurged 90 billion on working-age welfare. But just look at where Labour spent it. Some 25 billion to park more than 1 million people of working age not working on sickness benefits for a decade or more. Over 170 billion on tax credits, which did little to transform people's lives but trapped them. And Labour then lost control of housing benefit. It doubled in the last 10 years to over 20 billion and was set, when we came into office, to rise by another £4 billion more. By 2010, Labour's reckless welfare spending cost every household in Britain an extra £3,000 a year. Don't talk to us, Mr. Miliband, about the squeeze middle. You squeezed it and you want to squeeze it more. But the thing is, for all that taxpayers' hard-earned money, what did Labour, the welfare party, achieve? Well, let me tell you. 5 million people on out-of-work benefits, 1 in 5 households where no one worked at all, families on benefits getting more than hard-working families could earn, people living in houses on benefits with rents topping £100,000, and people sitting on benefits with absolutely no requirement to work, and a chaotic system of more than 30 benefits, different types, deducted at different rates, chaos as you went back to work. But saddest of all, was that Labour replaced the safety net with a web of dependency, a growing sense of entitlement, and as the result, the something-for-nothing culture was born. Worse, in a sense, since 2010, Labour hasn't learnt anything. They've gone on to oppose every single reform we have brought forward, and that at a cost of some £80 billion. Our housing benefit reforms, our back-to-work programmes, our popular work experience programme for unemployed young people, our benefit controls, our benefit cap, our sickness and disability reforms. Be in no doubt, the welfare party hasn't changed. Same old Labour, never a hand up, always a hand out. And by contrast, our mission has been throughout, absolutely throughout, to end that relentless march to dependency. Our purpose was to bring fairness back to a system that had for too long penalized positive behaviors and abused the taxpayers' trust. This has not been easy. It is not easy, but we have stuck to our task. Our plan is simple: to put work at the heart of the welfare system and ensure always that work always pays. That is returning fairness to the system. Let's look at the work programme. We've introduced this, which now helps the long-term unemployed into work by its revolutionary methods, because the providers who do this only get paid when they actually achieve results of getting people into work, and results which speak for themselves. Twice as successful as Labour's flexible New Deal. Almost 3/4 of the work programme's first participants have now come off benefits, and 380,000 people on that programme have returned to work. That, conference, is returning fairness to the system. And through universal credit, we will simplify the benefit system, drive out fraud, and most importantly, for the first time, make work pay, benefiting millions of hard-working people on low incomes. That is returning fairness to the system. And we've also brought in and now extended the new enterprise allowance. And this supports over 26,000 new businesses, now reaching 2,000 startups every single month. And we've secured a work experience place for every 18 to 24-year-old who wants to take one up. Already, we are helping over 130,000 participants of all ages, around half of them off benefits 21 weeks after starting out on the programme. And think about this. These are people, young people, who would otherwise, under Labour, have been languishing on benefits without hope. That surely is Conservatives returning fairness to the system. And through our rolling reassessment of 1.5 million people once parked unseen on long-term sickness benefits, so far, 7 out of 10 are preparing or looking for work. That is returning fairness to the system for those forgotten and left behind. And throughout our housing benefit reforms, we are ensuring families on benefits must face the same choices about where they live and what they can afford as those who go out to work. And we are ending the situation where taxpayers would have to pay out £1 billion over the next 2 years for some social housing tenants to have spare bedrooms, whilst over 2 million families languish in despair on housing waiting lists or in overcrowded homes. We never hear from Labour about the people they left behind in overcrowded homes or on waiting lists. No, we are returning fairness to this system. And our benefit cap, bringing to an end the days when someone could choose to sit on benefits, just earning more than hard-working people were going out to work. And the interesting thing was that more than 70% of the British public actually agree with it. And I have a little bit of news for the trade union leaders who hate it. The vast, vast majority of your members all love the concept of this policy. Over 15,000 who were told they might be capped have now since moved into work instead of being capped. That, surely, conference is Conservatives returning fairness to the system. We set ourselves an ambitious task. But over the last 3 years, you can all have confidence that we have worked tirelessly as a team, and now we are beginning to see the fruits of our work. More people in work than ever before. Record numbers of women in work. Record numbers of hours being worked. Employment up. 1 million since the election. 1.4 million new private sector jobs. Unemployment down since the election. Falling faster than Germany or Canada. The claimant count falling in every single region and at the lowest it's been for 4 years. Redundancies close to pre-recession levels. And since the election, the number of people claiming out-of-work benefits has fallen by over 400,000. That's fairness to the system. And perhaps, conference, the toughest tests, the toughest, that I am determined to crack during the lifetime of Parliament, is intriguingly that we are already on our way to achieving. First, the number of people who were not expected to work at any time is now at record lows. In fact, the numbers are at the lowest they have been for 2 decades. That's returning fairness to the system. And second, almost even more importantly, when I came to office, you remember I said that 1 in 5 households had nobody in work. Well, here's the latest news. There are more households now in work than at any other time under the last government. Surely that is returning fairness to the system. And on pensions, if it wasn't enough to have done what we were doing already on pensions, we have helped existing pensioners get better incomes through the triple lock. More people are now saving through auto-enrollment. And our new single-tier state pension will bring an end to the means test for those who work hard and contribute, rewarding those who do the right thing. Surely that is returning fairness to a system. But you know, conference, in all of this, perhaps as a government, we may even be able to be proudest of this one thing. The greatest thing we can do to help stabilize families and support, commitment and nurture, as the Prime Minister said, is now to back the most important man-made institution we have of marriage. Through a transferable tax allowance conference, this is a brilliant move and really gives fairness to hard-working families. But you know, there's still more to do. Let me say, those in difficulty will always receive the help that they need. That is a vital component of what we do. But in return, they must do all they can to seek work. The problem is that some are not. On Monday, you heard the Chancellor announce a Help to Work programme for the very long-term unemployed, those coming off the work programme. But today I want to tell you about those already showing early signs of not being able to commit to their obligations to work. Prior to the work programme, we are going to pilot a mandatory attendance centre where selected individuals will receive expert support and supervision while they search and apply for jobs. That is, from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 35 hours a week for up to 6 months simulating the working day. These pilots will be targeted at claimants who will benefit from the intensive support, one pilot before the work programme and one after the work programme. And alongside what we've already done with the mandatory work programme and our tougher sanctions regime, conference, this marks the end of the something for nothing culture. Last year, I stood before you and warned that as we advanced our reforms, the years ahead would not be easy. For I knew that arrayed against us are the forces of reaction. Those who will stop at nothing to misrepresent what we are doing so that they can return to the failed and expensive policies of the past. Their method is not just persuasion, but also at times intimidation. Their tool is their invective of hate-filled abuse. Their purpose is to return us to a time when success was measured by the amount of money you spent, not the lives you improved. Conference, these are the battle lines for the next 20 months. It will be hard and remorseless. Our opponents will use every new communication tool at their disposal to dislodge us and to sow panic in the hearts of our friends. They will not sleep in the hope of thwarting us. But if the late and great Margaret Thatcher taught us anything at all, it was this: if you are sure of your purpose, resolute in your action, and united in the fight to come, then all may be achieved. What a debt we owe that wonderful woman. So, conference, to win through, we must all together, every day, every one of you, let the public know that at last, no longer will a life on benefits be an option if you can work. That we will support those who work, those who seek fairness from a system meant to help them. That we will be on their side when they need us, but not on their backs when they don't. For it is no life for a family to be without work, knowing as each generation grows up that they will never achieve more than their parents. We wouldn't want that for our children, and we must never be prepared to accept it for any child. That is why all of you must hold in your hearts our simple yet overarching purpose, that our reformed welfare system will once again catch you when you fall, but lift you when you can rise. Just close your eyes for a second and picture a home where parents invest in their children the great richness of hope, aspiration, and self-worth. Such a faint and delicate light, yet it is what will drive them and direct them. And as it grows, it will shine upon the rest of us, and we will grow too. But what of the homes where all too quickly aspiration and self-worth are extinguished? Where hope dies and the remorseless downward spiral is all that is left of each inheritance. Conference, these are the reforms that we must take forward. And it is these homes where our reforms must tell. And it is these homes where our reforms must be felt and must deliver a difference. So, conference, our mission is to help these people restore hope, raise aspiration, and build self-reliance once again. That is our task. That is our duty.